You can change your entire life by just changing one habit. Subscribe to our podcast and make listening a habit.
Change your mindset, manifest your dream life, and live magically with Rise and Align.
Raising the frequency one episode at a time.
Everything is always working out for us.
Hello and welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Haley.
And I'm Demi, and today we are talking about the Chinese New Year, and this year it is the year of the wood snake. So if you're interested in what this year has to give you, has to offer you, then stay tuned.
I am super excited about this. Last year we did the Year of the Dragon, which I felt so aligned with, and it has been kind of a fun tool to, explore these different ways of connecting with like energy and astrology and other cultures and stuff. Our Gregorian calendar, there's not really room for like connecting with energy and natural cycles and things like that. So it's fun to explore things like the Chinese Zodiac and to see if that resonates with you and, what you can learn from that and what you can, utilize in your life to align with some of that energy. One of the things that I think is most interesting about the Year of the Snake, or most like prominent, is, you think of a snake, they shed their skin. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very representative of like transformation and releasing your limitations, releasing what's no longer serving you so you can step forward into a more aligned version of you, be something that can hold space for this new version of you. Like you have to let go of like that past energy, that past version of you in order to like be able to step forward into that new version of you. So
absolutely. So this year is meant to represent a rebirth, purification, the ending of cycles, moving forward. I was listening to another video today. They were talking about how the snake is very flexible and also how wood bends. So this is kind of that time to not be afraid of new adventures, new opportunities, things that you might be like, oh no, I'm not good enough. Like let go of that not good enoughness and move forward, jump forward. They also talked about how the snake is very like calculating. They think about their moves, and if you know about snakes, especially in the desert, they'll sleep and preserve their energy, and then they'll go out like at night or when it's cooler and plan their attack on their prey and things like that. Also, if you think about like snake charmers, you really have to work with the energy of the snake and have that kind of trust and relationship between the snake and the charmer. And they talk about how this year you want to recognize like what characteristics you might have that align with the snake and learn how to work with that and have that balance of yin and yang, because we all definitely do have both. So I liked that advice a lot.
That's so good. I also heard someone talking about how the snake can like sense vibrations from like the earth. Like it feels when, something is coming closer to them. It's not that it necessarily like hears them or sees them, but it feels the vibrations from the earth, which I think is so interesting. It kind of plays off that concept of being like, they're a little bit more like calculating, and they're kind of a little bit more like quiet about their strategy, but they're always like planning and listening. But they're also like tuned in. They're tuned into the earth. They're tuned into Mother Nature. Like they feel. And you talk a lot about like feeling your way to the goal, I feel like. So I think that is like a good like analogy, or very symbolic of that, of like, how can you like tap in and like feel your way to alignment, or like feel your way to your goals?
100%. It's funny, I read that today too, and I was like, oh, I love that concept. Where do I even want to go from here? There's so many things I want to say. I also was reading about how this year you're meant to be a visionary and be envisioning and to bring your senses into that. So a lot of times when we think about envisioning, we really just see it, or we see it in our mind's eye, but we don't always think about the smells and the feels and the taste, you know, of what maybe your desire or your dream life might be like. So bring that into your visions. And I really like that. I really like that idea. I think I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I've been buying all these different perfumes that are like organic, and I'm like, I want to find one that smells like my future self.
So I heard someone talking about that today, like, you know, we talk about this too, but this year specifically can be really powerful to dress like that version of you, because it is a year of like transformation and growth and like aligning, you know, with that version of you. So what can you do to like connect with that, and using tangible physical things around you to normalize that for you and feel like you're connected and tapped into that, I think is so powerful. So like dressing to manifest, we literally have an episode about it, but like dressing like how you think you would dress if you had whatever your goal is or whatever your dream life is. Like, what does that person dress like? And start doing that. Or you can start small too, but like just start doing that. Already be that version of you now. Like, normalize that in your life now. You need to start, you know, behaving and doing things that you would do if you had X, Y, and Z. Because if you don't, you're kind of like putting that thing on a pedestal. You're putting that thing like it's hard to reach. But if you normalize the behaviors that that person would have, like, you're already just like a part of that. That is a part of you, and you recognize that. You're not like searching for it or longing for it. It like becomes a part of you already.
You're already there. It's already yours. Yeah, I love that. And I do also love bringing in the concepts of not only like what are you wearing, but what do you eat as that version of yourself? Like, what do you smell like as that version of yourself? Who do you hang out with? What's your, you know, social life like? What's your free time like? Because when I think about like my dream life and my dream self, like I can already incorporate most of those things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's so good. So good. Also there's two kind of colors of the year. One is green. In the Chinese Zodiac, they talk about wood as green, which we are always talking about green. If you can't tell, we love green. But green is also the color of the heart chakra and the color of abundance. And this year is bringing a lot of abundance for a lot of different signs. So I'm so excited about that. The other color is brown, and we did not plan this. We cannot make this up. But I've been really loving brown lately. You know, it's interesting. A couple years ago, we did an episode on color psychology, and they said that brown was like the least attractive color, but I feel like it depends on the tone of brown and who's wearing it, because certain tones of brown are so yummy, like chocolate and espresso, so you know, like my favorite. And I have been obsessed with the color brown lately, so I'm super excited about the colors of this year.
Yes, even the Pantone color of the year is a version of brown, which I think is so cool. And it's earthy, and I feel like I've never been one for like black and white. Like, they're just so harsh for me. So I love the earthy, like neutral tones that are like in between like the beiges and the browns and the greens. So I am so excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Both those colors to me represent a lot of abundance. I think about like dirt and sand and trees and plants, you know, like love it.
Our money is green and like kind of, it's like a light brown.
Yeah, true. So the theme of this year is abundance. Also, snakes as well as wood are both known as feminine energy. So really bringing that into like the new endeavors and opportunities that are approaching you. Make sure you're bringing that feminine energy in. Also, because of that aspect, say that you have like a job opportunity approach you, but it doesn't sound like everything you want. Like maybe it's the job you wanted, but then you have to work like really horrible hours or something like that. This year is one of abundance. So don't settle for that. Just ask for exactly what you want and expect better opportunities to come because they are coming for you this year.
And it's almost like the universe is testing you. It's like, I know how bad you want it, but you have to prove it to me. So I'm going to put this in front of you. And like, you know, it's kind of a test. So if you say no, like better things are coming.
Well, that's also, you know, coming into the aspect of letting go of this, what's no longer serving you. Because if you're in the energy of not good enoughness or unworthiness, then you're likely to settle for that thing that's not everything that you want. So don't do it. You can have what you want. You're worthy of it. You deserve it. And it's coming for you. You just don't settle for the lesser thing.
Totally. And along with like the femininity is like connecting more with your intuition. Like we talked a little bit about, like snakes are a little more quiet and like calculative and like a little more like, you know, not as like forward as like the dragon. Like that's very much, I think, a little more of the masculine energy. The snake is a little more intuitive. It feels its way, you know, and it's going to invite you to connect more with your intuition. And naturally, when you do that, you're able to get, you know, downloads from the universe or your highest self that is going to help you like follow what feels good. When you are tuned in, like you're just able to listen a little better. And I think that's what's so important about feminine energy. But it also requires a little more like flexibility and flow. Like you have to not be so like rigid. This is how it has to happen in this exact way. Not giving up like what matters to you and your values and what you want. But things might come to you in a little bit different way than you expect. So like allow yourself to like flow with it and kind of be flexible with what life is bringing forth to you this year.
I love that. I also feel like I've been getting these messages of really, really trusting the universe and having faith. I feel like that's very like intuition intertwined as well. But in that, you have to let go of the control or the reacting to circumstances, and instead, like if something goes wrong, like if you're trying to manifest something and it's not coming, instead of reacting to that, just be like, okay, this is the path to what I want. It may not look like it right now, but I know that I'm on my way there, and I'm going to trust and have faith that that is going to work out for me. And so instead of reacting, respond as if the thing you want is already yours. So just really having faith in that everything is working out and letting go of that control and that kind of, because it's very masculine to try to control situations and like forceful forward energy versus just being like, okay, I know that I can ground into myself. And I think this year is very much about grounding and really just trust the universe that it is on my side, that it is working out for me. That's that.
And along those lines, I like to think of it, you know, we talk about this concept of going downstream, flowing downstream, down the river. And that is a lot easier than paddling upstream, right? We've talked about that. But also thinking about rivers, they kind of carve their own path, but they just flow. They flow, and over time, their environment adjusts to them. The environment adjusts to the water. It makes space for it. It moves, and it, you know, allows the river to go where it wants to go. Like it's a little bit softer than like you know, our man-made like explosions of like moving rock, you know, but it's flowy, and it will like transform around you, make space for you as you flow through your journey and like go downstream.
It also makes me think of wood flowing on water, because you always see like driftwood, and even in rivers there's like sticks and stuff floating down the river. They're just going with the flow. Right. So just go with the flow.
And the river always ends up into a bigger body of water, more abundance, more and more and more abundance. Like always. It just continues to expand and grow. You end up in like the ocean, like full of abundance. Yeah,
I absolutely love that. Also, the snake represents Kundalini energy, life energy, prana. So that, you know, it really shows how it's a year of growth and rebirth and moving forward, and even so much as a year of fertility. So that's exciting for some people.
It also makes me think of, I don't know how to say it, the Ouroboros or whatever, where it's like the snake, the symbol of like the snake eating
the
its tail.
infinite. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of like representative of like the death and rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like infinite abundance, but also like this infinite, cycle of death and rebirth, and like continuing. So snakes don't just shed their skin once, they continuously have to, shed their skin, similarly to like snails. Like as they grow, the environment around them, they have to adapt to a new environment around them or make space within a new environment. So this is going to be a continuous process. Like you can continue to grow, and it's not a one and done thing. Like you can continue on your journey and continue to grow and expand, and it doesn't have to happen all at once, but it's just, like so cool.
So I was thinking about the shedding skin aspect of this year. I also read that skin issues might be a theme this year, which is funny. And I watched this specific video where this lady was like, never in my life have I ever had dry skin, and I've got patches of dry skin on my arms this year. And I'm like, no way, me too. And the same, I've never ever had that before. But she was talking about how your new skin wants to be shown, and to ask yourself, what potential of your energy are you currently tapped into? Because most of us are not, probably not any of us actually, are at like 100% of the potential of energy that we could be tapped into. And a lot of us are scared to really share that authentic self, that powerful self, that wise self with other people because of fear of rejection or what have you. So this year is a year to really step into that power. And if you ask yourself that question, you'll probably receive an answer like you're not fully tapped in. And so where could you tap in more? Like what could you shed that would allow you to really share that energy with the world? And a message I've been receiving a lot lately, like the last few months, is instead of asking yourself what you want, ask what the world needs that you could provide for the world. And that is what will really bring you so much abundance.
I think that works a lot with like your
Love that picture.
With your quote unquote like purpose or like why you're here. A lot of people make it about themselves, like I want this, or like I love this and I want to do this, but you got to think about like how that serves others, and that is where and when the abundance will come to you. I also think with the skin issues, that makes a lot of sense to me. It also makes me think that like where you like resistant to shed your layers, like so if you're feeling resistant in some aspect, like it's probably going to manifest on your skin because you're like not wanting to shed those layers. You're trying to hold on to your old skin. But like, where can you release and let go? Or maybe what is that telling you? Metaphysical anatomies are like a real thing. So depending on where you're having the quote unquote like skin issues, that could tell you or be symbolic of like what that might mean that you're not wanting to let go of.
I can tell you off the top of my head that if you have rashes, it is a symbol of frustration.
That makes total sense.
This year is the year of growth, and because it is a feminine year and also a yin symbol, we are meant to grow through fun and joy versus like hard work and forwardness. So follow your highest excitement this year and see where that leads you. That this year is meant to bring us newer, younger energy, a younger idea, a fresher idea, something that maybe you didn't think about before is approaching you in your life.
I love that so much. Like kind of like a breath of fresh air, like, and not having to force or work hard or control to get what you want. Like take, they kind of talk about this year being like a quiet, I don't know how to describe it, but just like a more
reclusive, like.
Yeah, like you're still doing it, but it's just a little softer. It's a little quieter. Like it's not so intense, you know?
More than
like that feminine
chasing.
Energy of attracting, calling it to you. Yeah.
I have also heard both ways about the snake. So some people say, well, snakes are like, they don't travel in packs. They're alone. They mind their own business. They stick to themselves. Like, they're not going to attack you unless you do something to provoke them. So following that kind of energy will allow you to really tap into your own. But then I've also heard another theory where it's like snakes are cold-blooded, so they can't be warm without the help of other beings. Community could also be big this year too, but I really think you have to have both. You have to have balance, you know.
I read a lot about it being like a year for like harmonious relationships, or like how can you create more harmony within your relationships. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I love that.
I've been thinking a lot about that lately too, like having the people that you surround yourself with and the people that you spend time with really be people that you love and trust and like have a good relationship with, and not exerting your energy with people who aren't that. You know, I think it's important to reserve your energy, save, like protect your energy, definitely. And I love making new friends and meeting new people, but I think the older I get, the more mindful I am about like, who are these people? Do we actually have things in common and interests in common? Like, are they somebody I think would be a good friend or a good person, or are they maybe not so much my type?
Right. And time is, to me, like one of the most precious resources. So like, who do you want to spend time on? Who is like worth spending your time on? Like, you could get along with someone and have a good time, but like, do you really want to like use your most precious resource towards them? Like, maybe you do, and that's great. But like, not everyone is necessarily like, I feel like, deserves that from you. Like, you are worthy, and like, you can put yourself on the pedestal and decide like, what is worthy of you this year. Like
100%. And I don't even think it's like it's not a judgmental thing or a mean thing or anything like that. It's because I can tell you, like, I genuinely think that you can learn something from anyone. Like, I genuinely believe that I can find good aspects of anybody. Like, I'm really good at that. But how do people make you feel? What kind of conversations do you have? And the year of the snake also brings snakiness. So there's been a lot about, like, what energy and what stories do you want to perpetuate? So, like, sharing drama, whether it's yours or other people's, or the negativity that you see on the news. Like, do you actually want to be repeating that to other people? Like, what energy, what cycle do you want to continue within the reality that you're experiencing? And just being aware of, like, what people are spreading to you as well. Because, like, we do not watch the news.
No.
And I mean, like, you know, we're human. Like, of course, there's going to be good and bad things that happen in our lives. And I'm not going to try to, like, repress any of that. But I'm not going to ever intentionally be sharing, like, negativity with other people that will, like, hurt them or bring them down. Or, you know, I don't like talking about other people or bad things. I just don't enjoy it. It's not fun.
Yeah, totally. Another, like, quote unquote, like, challenge or something that could come up this year based on like what I learned is like secrecy. Like, snakes are kind of calculative in secrecy. I almost think of that aspect of being like a little bit Scorpio-esque. Like, it can kind of become, whether it's you or people around you, like, just being mindful, like, are there things that you are like trying to hide from people, and why? Like, what is that doing to like serve you? Because I think if you're intentionally trying to keep something from someone in a way that's like, you know, could be harmful to them, like, that can eat away at you. And it's like, I just don't think it's like necessarily healthy. Obviously you don't have to share everything with everyone, but just like be mindful of like what you're holding on to. Again, secrets, like it's something that you're holding on to, you're not wanting to shed or bring that to light. So I don't know, just like be mindful of that. See if it applies to you. Maybe it applies to people around you, but like
I would say on the flip side, if you are wondering if somebody is maybe hiding something from you, ask yourself, do their actions align with their words? Like, that's a really good way to kind of figure that out if your intuition is, you know, wondering about something like that, because it is the year of the snake and we do want to watch out for that. Just make sure that you're not, you know, getting into a business deal or something along those lines with somebody that you feel could be deceiving you in some way, you know?
Yes, totally. But that being said, like, it's such an amazing, you know, year. It's a rebirth. So it is an amazing time to start something new, or like feel renewed towards something that like you've been working on or working towards, like, and feel grounded while you're doing that. Feel supported and nurtured by the earth, and let it like guide you and connect with your feminine energy, your intuition, like flow to it. Like, it just feels like so exciting and so good.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I feel like so much has changed in the world and in our country, and it definitely is a massive new cycle. I also do think it's worth mentioning. So there hasn't been a year of the wood snake since 1965.
Yes.
So I read a little bit about what was going on in 1965. The Beatles were really popular at the time, which I do actually think says quite a bit about society back then, because they were very much dreamers. You know, they were very much about peace and love and moving towards that, which also the Vietnam War was still going on during 1965. So a lot of yin and yang, a lot of chaos, and, you know.
Yeah. But I think that movement towards peace was so necessary at that time, because there was war, and there always is an equal and opposite to everything. So like, if say we're headed into, you know, something that is perceived to be a lot more negative, we need to hold space on the opposite end of that, and like balance that out with positivity and joy and like the growth and the excitement. Like, we can't all like go down into that path. So I just think that that's so interesting that like they definitely like were balancing out the energy.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially like when I think of 1965, I think of like hippies and love, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
There has to be the balance. So I really hope that the world as a whole remembers to hold the peace and the love. You know, it's very important. And I do know that other things that aren't so positive could happen. You know, it's always being talked about. It's always a possibility. But I think whatever is meant to be is going to be, and there's always going to be that balance. It's very important to hold that.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing that you guys are like here with us and wanting to be that brighter light in the world and hold space for hope and love and peace and kindness and love and everything, all of it, like all. Yeah. So we're
raising the frequency.
Yes. Like, that's what you guys are doing by being here and listening to this. So that's so amazing of all of us. Like, I'm proud of all of us.
Yes. It feels good to feel good. You know, it really does. And it really does change. Like, just listening to this episode, if this makes you feel better, you're not only raising your frequency, you're going to spread that to everybody that you encounter, and you are raising the frequency of the world as a whole. And we love you so much.
Yes. Oh, so good. I did want to add some crystals that might be fun to work with this year. Malachite is a good one. It is a green stone, but it's also a stone of transformation. It can also be kind of protective as well. So kind of protecting you through the transformation, or helping you feel more supported through the transformations. And then green aventurine. It is another green stone, really good for abundance and success and opportunities. And then serpentine is another really amazing green stone, and it's kind of like scaly, you know, it gives like that scaly vibe. So some amazing crystal options for this year just to work with, having your toolbox. You know, we talk about your little toolbox, and crystals can just be a good way to help draw in that energy to you.
That's a great way to connect with your senses and connect with the earth and what it has to give us as well.
Crystals were created by Mother Earth, and you know, it's a year of grounding, the wood snake. So using that earth element to help you stay connected to Mother Earth.
So good. One last thing I wanted to mention was I heard a girl, I wish I could remember the name of her podcast. It was like Celestial something. And she was talking about how important it is for her to protect her energy and be in her own privacy, and how so many people feel the pressure to share absolutely every detail of their intimate life on social media with other people, and how they're really draining and giving away their energy by doing that. And I was like, that is a really great point, and I love that. Yeah. And I do share a lot on social media, but there have always been a lot of personal things that I would never ever speak about on social media. I think that's really important. She even talked about like she doesn't want to show her house or where she lives or anything like that, and I really like that. I really like preserving your energy and keeping a bit of privacy, and I think that's a great theme for this year too.
You're like holding a safe space for yourself, like energetically, but also like your home can stay that like safe space. I also think about like having boundaries with social media, because if you're on it so much, like it becomes like a void of energy that's like coming at you, and you're not really being protected from it. Like I think that's just all really good and important to be mindful of.
Most definitely. All right. On that note, we will pull a card for you. We are going to pull from our favorite deck, the Moon Witch. I never noticed the inside of this box is so cute, and it says all the answers lie within. Ah, that's so good. It's so true. If you just take the time to connect with yourself.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Mayhem.
For sure, we have the one.
I didn't even get to try to shuffle it. It just kind of like flew out, and I've never pulled this one before.
I love this card. The Hierophant. Okay, I just want to point out that you have giant pink matches, and it looks like she's holding a giant pink match. So this could not be more aligned, but it is a woman on a throne, and I don't think she's holding a match. I think she's holding like a scepter, and there are two women below her. It looks like she might be pointing to something, and there's stars behind her. I love it. It feels very powerful and very feminine and positive. Abundant, if you will. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to see me hold it up.
Yes, when I look at that, it's giving like feminine power. Like the girlies are in charge. They're putting themselves on the pedestal.
I also want to say before you read this, because I wonder if this word's going to be in there, the serpent is representative of sovereign energy.
Okay, so the main themes of this card is spirituality, greater purpose in life, intuition, traditions, and institutions. So there is a powerful figure of spiritual nature. She sits between two columns, representing a balancing force between the opposites of life. Her one hand is raised towards the sky, symbolizing the phrase, as above, so below. Before her are two acolytes to whom she is passing down her knowledge and wisdom. The Hierophant could represent a figure in your life dedicated to religion or philosophy. This card may also symbolize your urge to search for life's meaning or greater purpose. This is also known as the Do Not Rock the Boat card, because she is all about traditions, doctrines, conforming, and not gambling or taking any risks. Her appearance may suggest that she chooses the safest, most stable, and most traditional path. This is also known as the marriage and commitment card of the major arcana. If you're single, it could signify a beginning of a new committed relationship. And then just some other things to think about. The more shadow aspect, like questioning traditions, rules, and certain structures. This card is a reminder to make sure whatever you do is aligned with your inner self and your life purpose. Your actions should not be dictated by the people around you. And if you're feeling restricted by all the rules and you wish to break free and try a new approach, perhaps you're feeling restricted by all the rules and you wish to break free and try a new approach. If that's the case, now is the time to make your own rules. I definitely align more with like the reversed or shadow aspect of the card. I don't feel like she's giving like rules and tradition vibes. Like she's vibing.
She looks in charge.
Yeah. She like looked like she took over and is in charge now, which is what you should do with your life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I also, so 2 themes came up during this card that I was like, I wrote that down. I didn't talk about it. One was the apprentice energy of this year and being ready to receive wisdom, which kind of came up in this card. And then 2 was the serpent being, I can't think of the word necessarily, but it's very like enchanting and distracting. And it can get you caught and get you stuck. And I think of Medusa and her snakes making people into cement. Like that's very representative of being stuck. So like be very aware of what you're spending your energy on. Like it's so easy to get caught scrolling or playing video games or, you know, anything along those lines, and just make the conscious decision to pull back your energy from those things and not allow that to distract you and get you stuck.
Totally. I love that so much.
All right. Well, I hope you guys loved this episode. Thank you again for helping us raise the frequency. Please share this with anybody who you think might find it fun and interesting, and we will see you in the next episode.
Bye.